situated between the north rim of the Grand Canyon and the Utah border, in an area hunters know as Unit 12A, is an Arizona paradise known as the Kaibab Plateau.
Kaibab means mountain lying down in Paiute, or at least that's what I've been told. It is a pretty special place. World famous for mule deer, but I think the topography, the scenery, the whole suite of wildlife that exists here all contribute to what makes this place what a friend of mine calls the jewel of Arizona. There's no doubt this is one of the most special places in the state of Arizona, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Todd Buck is an Arizona Game and Fish Department wildlife manager. He's been patrolling the Kaibab for 25 years.
Moved up here right after training, was fortunate enough to draw this district right out of the academy. I think I've had some opportunities over the years to move up or move on and chose not to because this place is just so amazing. We're sitting obviously on the north rim of the Grand Canyon looking down a canyon that you can actually hike down. It's a really neat spot. It's on the east side of the plateau, just within the forest boundary. And we're actually sitting about right on the Grand Canyon National Park boundary where we're at. Just one of the many amazing vistas that the plateau offers. No lack of scenery. Topographically, the plateau, Kaibab Plateau goes from the bottom of the Grand Canyon all the way up to about 9,200 feet. So that offers a lot of different habitat types, a lot of different vegetative types, really a diverse place. We've managed a wildlife area here since the 50s, a bison herd in particular at the House Rock Wildlife Area, but it's also home to wintering mule deer herd from the North Kaibab, desert bighorn sheep populations coming out of the Grand Canyon, antelope populations living in the flats below the plateau. So just a whole suite of different species that find House Rock Wildlife Area home. The world famous condor, maybe one of the rarest birds in the entire world, makes the plateau home. Right now there are a lot of condors feeding on the plateau. We've got a species of squirrel that is unique to the plateau, doesn't exist anywhere else. Kaibab squirrel is one of the very special animals that are on the plateau, and it's worth a trip to the plateau just to see those as far as I'm concerned. The Kaibab has a long, storied history when it comes to mule deer in particular, going clear back to before Teddy Roosevelt, but obviously Teddy Roosevelt is famous for putting the Kaibab on the map. Visited here several times, hunted mountain lions here, hunted mule deer here, declared it a national game preserve, the status that still exists to this day. And so about the time of Teddy Roosevelt's tenure, the Kaibab became notorious for big mule deer bucks and has been ever since. That's what really draws most of the attention. The east side offers some unique challenges. It's in the rain shadow of the plateau, so it gets significantly less precipitation than a lot of other places. This morning I was hauling water to catchments because we're having a really dry fall and the wildlife need to have water. Over the last 15 years, we've put 19 new water sources on the plateau. The plateau is an interesting place from a water perspective in that it's limestone topography and it obviously sits right next to the Grand Canyon, so it's incredibly well drained. There's essentially no natural water on the plateau. All of the wildlife that exists on the plateau is essentially dependent on man-made water sources, be those stock tanks or wildlife-specific catchments that the agency has put in. And so we've got somewhere in the vicinity of 170 wildlife catchments on the plateau that support the wildlife populations that exist here. Wildlife management in Arizona is praying for rain. It's all about water. Every district in the state is dependent on to some extent, man-made water sources. And without those, our wildlife populations would be a fraction of what they are in the state. Certainly, this place, if your eyes are open, you're going to enjoy it. That's all there is to it, because everywhere you look, there's something spectacular to see.